About 6 years ago, during a summer break in high school, I woke up from a nap to an empty house. It was around 6 p.m. The TV was on, but no one seemed to be home. I was hungry, not much to eat in the refrigerator, but there was some pancake mix left over from the morning. I took out a frying pan to wash it. My sister appeared on the kitchen corner, just her head peeking out. "What you doing?" she asked. "Making some pancake. Do you want some?" She didn't say anything. "I'll make extra if you're gonna eat," I told her, finishing up with the frying pan. Then I realized I was home alone, and I didn't hear the door open or anybody coming in. I looked at the kitchen corner again, and there she was, head still peeking over. She was smiling. I froze in place. I couldn't think straight for a moment. Her face disappeared as I watched, vanished, like a sliding show prompted to the next page. I dropped everything in place and went back to my room. Don't know if I was seeing things or whatever, but I had a bad feeling like something might have happened to my sister. I called her. She was fine, fortunately, and was on her way back home. I must have fallen asleep again. Next day, my sister told me what happened to her that night. She said she saw me sitting by the front door outside the house. She thought I was waiting for her because of what happened to me earlier. She told me to come inside, but I just stayed there without saying a word. So she came inside alone and saw me sleeping in my room. Shocked, she checked the front door right away. I wasn't there anymore. No one was. I used to work as an editor in a small magazine company. It was a tiny place with only a handful of staff. One day, a woman that used to work as an accountant came to the office. She was there about an issue with their last paycheck. She went inside the CEO's office, and soon after, a loud argument was heard. Then, the sound of something smashing and breaking. She came out of the CEO's office very angry. No one in the offices knew what to do, so we all just stood and watched as she stormed out. Moments later, the CEO came out of his office, face bloody from a cut on his forehead. His office was a mess too. Apparently, this woman threw one of the ornaments on his desk at him in the middle of the argument they were having. She even kicked him when he tried to calm her down. It was hard to believe. She was such a nice, calm person when she worked here. We called the police and an ambulance. A few days later, I was called to the police station as a witness of the scene. There she was, talking to one of the officers. They asked me if she was the person I saw that day. I told them yes. I knew her from the day she worked at the company. It was her that came into the office that day and smashed the CEO's face in. The officers told the CEO that her alibi was too solid to press charges. Apparently, she was out of town that day, attending a conference at her new job. There were dozens of people who confirmed that she was there the whole day, along with evidences to support her claims. It was crazy. The entire staff at our company saw her that day. Even the security cameras in the parking structure caught her figure there, with the exact clothes we saw on her at the office. Her face was too blurry to be a definite proof, but we all knew that was her. She was furious that the CEO would accuse her of such thing and wanted to sue him for defamation. It all settled in a peaceful manner though, thanks to her lawyer and the police officer present to calm things down. In the end, the police concluded that someone pretended to be her, assaulted the CEO, and got away. But as I mentioned before, it was a tiny company where everyone knew each other. Is it really possible for someone to put on a disguise so perfect that it fools people that have worked with her for months? Up close and personal, with the same voice and all? And if that person really was so good at disguising and acting as someone else, why would she come in just to beat up a person? The more I think about it, the stranger it gets. This happened very recently, on the way back home from school. It was sometime after 9 in the evening. I was walking through an alleyway. I live in the city, but an empty alley is hard to get used to. You can't help but feel a bit creeped out walking here alone, no matter how many times you do it. Anyways, I walked a bit faster than usual through it, until I saw someone coming from the other side. I had a strange feel about him. The clothes he wore, the way he walked, even the earphones on his ears. He and I passed each other. I looked back to see him one last time, still trying to figure out what was so strange about him. He was looking back at me as well. Then I realized he looked just like me, including the face. He must have realized that too. A look of shock and confusion was on his face. I know I must have had the same expression on. We each picked up our pace and went our separate ways. About a month later, I was on my way out in the evening to meet someone. I was running a little late, so I opted to take the alleyway from before. It's a shortcut, but I've been avoiding it ever since that strange occurrence from a month ago. It was empty as usual, silent and creepy. The bus station is right past the alleyway, so I hurried through it. I saw another person coming from the other side. I felt a bit relieved at the fact that I wasn't alone in this creepy alleyway anymore, but a strange feeling came over. The person coming from the other side looked just like me. The earphones, the way he walked, everything. We each looked back at one another with the same expressions on our face. It was exactly like a month ago, except for the point of view. Thankfully, I never saw that person again. It was a hot summer day. My family and I used to live in a 2-room condo. Mom and I shared the master bedroom, and my sister used the smaller room. The condo didn't have an air conditioner, and the master bedroom got too hot to sleep in during the summer days. So Mom and I sometimes slept in my sister's room or the living room. We rearranged some furnitures that day. Moving large furnitures is hard work for just 3 women. Exhausted, my sister went in her room to sleep and I in the living room. I guess the warm weather did its trick on me. I woke up in the middle of the night sweating. I turned around and saw Mom sleeping not far from where I was, facing the kitchen and with her back against me. Then I saw something in the kitchen. At first, I thought it was my sister, but no, it was a stranger, someone I've never seen before. The stranger's feet wasn't on the floor. It was floating, slowly coming in my direction. I was terrified. I called out to Mom, but she didn't wake up. I instinctively hugged her and closed my eyes, hoping for this nightmare to be over with. To my relief, the floating stranger was gone when I opened my eyes a few moments later. That's when I also realized the person I was hugging was not my mom. I froze in place with that sobering realization. The woman that I thought was Mom turned her head around slowly to face me, like in the movie The Exorcist. This was probably the scariest moment in my life. The woman smiled. That's when Mom woke me up. It was all a bad dream. I cried, and Mom gave me a hug, telling me it's all okay. I fell asleep in her arms. Next morning, on breakfast table, I told Mom and my sister all about that scary dream I had last night. Both looked at me like I was talking crazy. Then my sister told me, Mom didn't sleep in the living room last night.